Motions have been filed requesting a number of lawsuits concerning the Pulaski-area bonfire incident from October of 22 be combined. As we first alerted you, a large drum of flammable liquid was thrown on a bonfire during a party, causing an explosion which injured several people. Some of the victims have filed separate lawsuits against Samuel Armstrong, a teen accused of throwing the barrel, and Alan Aaron, the owner of the home where the party was held. A new brief filed on Tuesday in the Brown County Court argues that merging the different suits would streamline the process due to their similarities. It's also mentioning that there is a preliminary agreement among the parties to consolidate, which still needs the approval of the court. Armstrong entered a no contest plea to the charges in this case and is due to be sentenced in April.